Welcome to this latest edition of the Ril Dil podcast. I'm your host, Ril Gerald Quinn, episode 1002. The call is back. As always, we are discussing the world of sports and pop culture. You can subscribe, or share the podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated. We are in the midst, we have completed all the game twos as we record right now. Game threes are taking place between Miami, Cleveland, Boston, Orlando. Later on this evening, you of course have Golden State, Houston, Golden State looking to take complete control of the series and go up 2 games to none at home. Excuse me, on the road against a very young and of course athletic and talented Houston Rocket team. We'll talk more about that series later on, but we're going to begin with what transpired last night. Um, Starting in LA in particular. We're going to focus on the three series that have the most intrigue, with the LA teams, and also, of course, with Houston and Golden State. We'll touch on the other series, but these are the three. There are three series that have taken center stage in these NBA playoffs. Last night, the Lakers do what I thought they would do, and that's to win the game to even up the series at one after just a embarrassing performance in game one. Give Minnesota all the credit in the world. They completely took the Lakers apart on Saturday night, embarrassed the Lakers, physically pushed them around. Um, didn't even get a vintage Anthony Edwards game, but he had a great floor game with the 9 assists. Austin Reeves was horrible. LeBron was average. The only person that really showed up for the Lakers in game one was Luka. Of course, game two, as expected, the Lakers do respond uh, with a 94-85 win at home. Now, a game that probably was harder than it had to be. The Lakers were horrible in the second half, and right now, like if you're Minnesota, you have to feel like you're the better team going into Game Three, which of course will take place on Friday. Last night, the Lakers in the second half scored 36 points. They shoot 35%, 35% from the field, and basically, allowed Minnesota to get back in the game. Minnesota was a couple shots away, a stop away from really putting some major pressure on the Lakers. And one of the reasons why they were able to get back in that game. First of all, the Lakers offense again in the fourth quarter just went completely to shit. At one point, the Lakers missed like 10 straight shots. One of the reasons why that happened is because the Lakers just fell in love with going after Rudy Gobert. And Barkley mentioned it on the TNT post game, and he was 1,000% right. I understand Rudy Gobert gets cooked by Luka Doncic for the most part, but Rudy Gobert is still a legit top five defensive player. He shouldn't have 4 Defensive Player of the Year's award, but last night Gobert was great defensively from the standpoint of when they did attack him, they only shot 5 for 17. Okay, so the Lakers were only 5 for 17 when they went against Gobert. That's about 25. That's about in the low 20s. That's less than 20, about 28%. So it did not work last night. It stalled the Lakers' offense. It completely took them out of their offense. There was no flow. There was no flow or rhythm to their offense. And again, it did almost cost them the game because Minnesota offensively was horrible. They were, committing dumb fouls, and you knew what was going to happen with the foul situation. But Minnesota was just bad, and it was horrible offensively in this game. Defensively, they were not too bad, especially in the second half. But offensively, Minnesota was a joke. Now Lakers played better defense, and you look at Lakers played better defensively. Um, Played much better defensively, of course. Minnesota hit 21 threes in game one, hit 21 threes in game one. They only made, in this particular game, Minnesota just only shot was 5 for 25 from 3 point range. So, they basically, 16 threes less, only shot 20% from the 3 point line in this game. We know that they're one of the best, most prolific shooting 3 point teams in the league. But if I'm after this game, if I'm Minnesota, I'm feeling great. I'm really feeling good. I'm still more athletic than them. I still, Luka's been great in this series, but the Lakers moving forward are going to need something from Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves in this series, up to this point, has been average. I mean, let's be honest. He's been average. Last night he was decent. Last night 7 14, 16 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. So he was a little bit better. Horrible in game one, but I mean, offensively, the Lakers just looked like again, they looked like they were stuck in concrete offensively. No flow in that second half, and if Minnesota again clean some things up, uh, they'll be in good. They will be in good shape moving forward. Um, Again, I'm surprised. I picked the Lakers to win this series in 7 games. I was not surprised. Would not be the least bit shocked or surprised if Minnesota does win this series. I can make a case Minnesota has from top to bottom has a better roster. We understand the Lakers have Luka and LeBron, but that size differential is a big factor to me when it comes to these two teams, and the athleticism, the difference in athleticism could be a major factor. Again, this series is where I thought it would be after 2 games. I think I would series going to be lean towards this series going to 7, and the Lakers finding a way to win in 7. But this is a bad. Don't make no mistake about it. This is a bad matchup for the Los Angeles Lakers. This was the team as a Laker fan that this was the last team I wanted to see. I didn't. I rather saw Denver, to be honest with you. Even though Denver has owned the Lakers, Minnesota is athletic. They're young. They have zero fear. They have a guy who every time he steps on the court feels like he's the best player in Anthony Edwards. And they're extremely well coached. This team was finished the season 17-4. They were in the Western Conference Finals last year. So again, if you're a Laker fan, not cause for concern. Obviously, in the next 2 games, all you want to do is get a split, head back to LA. You have 2 out of 3 at home, and you should be in decent shape. But Minnesota, anybody that thought this series was going to be a short series, there was a lot of Laker propaganda amongst the media. The Laker media stands were out in full force over the course of last week. Everybody picked the Lakers. Some people who mistakenly, crazily picked the Lakers in 5. We'll talk about one of them later, of course, later on in the podcast. He's in some hot water of his own, to say the least. But this was going to be a long series. There's no two. They like Minnesota has zero fear of the Lakers, and I mean zero fear of the Lakers. They think Minnesota, frankly, thinks they're better than the Lakers. To be honest with you, if you're perfectly honest with you, Minnesota, if you gave them the truth syrup, they would think that they are better than the Lakers. Last night, they came out last night flat as a pancake, almost seeming like they were happy with just winning 1 game. But like I said, the Lakers basically almost single handedly allowed Minnesota to hang in the game and to have them say, "Hey, we actually might we can win this if we play our cards right." But the Lakers were able to again come out on top. Game 3 will be on Friday night at the Target Center. The other series that's been, to me, without question, the best series of the playoffs so far. The highest level of play. You have 3 Hall of Famers in this series, and that's of course the Clippers Denver series. The Clippers Denver series. The Clippers, with their split, winning after the after they brutal overtime loss in game 1, which I feel like they outplayed Denver and Ian probably should have won that game. They get their revenge with a 112 to 110 victory in game 2, and one of the great Kawhi playoff performances that you've ever seen from him. He had a game back in 20. He had a 45-point performance against Dallas. That probably was his signature performance when they were facing elimination a couple years ago in Dallas. and they end up winning that series in 7 games. I think that was in 2020. I want to say 2021. Um, yeah, 2021. Dallas went to the conference finals in 2020, in 2022. But he had a signature performance that night. That night it was special. This night was a very similar performance. You just can't play better than what Kawhi played in that game, and in that game too. The Clippers needed every single one of those points. He goes out there, 39 points on 39 points. He just seemingly makes every shot known to mankind. He made every play on the defensive end as well. And like I said, he dominated that game. That was a vintage Kawhi performance. That was as good as like you just can't play you can't play any better considering what was on the line, facing a possible being down, possibly going down 2-0 in a series, blowing, like I said, blowing a golden opportunity to be in that game one where they probably should have won. He was special in that game, and Kawhi, in that series again, that series is exactly where I thought it would be. Uh, these are two basically, these are two teams that are somewhat evenly matched. I think the Clippers are a little bit better, but the talent gap is not as big as everybody seemingly want to make it. And there's some Jokic MVP propaganda that's going on as well. All of a sudden, all of a sudden it seems like SGA doesn't belong in the same conversation with Joker, according to some. Uh, Now SGA is going to win the MVP, but I mean the push for Joker the last couple of weeks has been not strange, but a little strange. Like considering just it's not so much it's not so much you think you're wrong if you think that Joker is the MVP, but don't sit up and say how could he not be the MVP? It's not like this is a very close race. This is like they're and I said it, been saying it for weeks, been saying it for a couple of months. They're legitimately two top tier MVPs. You cannot go wrong with Joker or SGA. This is not this one decisively you should be thought of as MVP over the other. But anyway, I mean, Kawhi Leonard in this game, 15 to 19, 39 points, had 12 in the fourth quarter. I didn't understand some of the Denver coverages on Kawhi in the fourth quarter where they basically let him play one on one. Westbrook clearly missed a double team on one of the shot, or maybe on one of the biggest shots of the game that he made. So Westbrook missed a double team on that. But even beyond that, I didn't understand why at that time when the only other guy that was providing offense was Norman Powell, why you allowed Kawhi Leonard to play one on one in that situation when he clearly by far, I mean, the rest of the team was like 23 for 66 in that game. The Clippers shot 48%, but they like everybody else outside of Kawhi Leonard, um, James Harden was only 7 for 17. Norman Powell was 5 for 14. Chris Dunn 2 for 7. Uh, Outside of Zubac and Kawhi, those are the only guys that were consistently making shots at a high clip. And and again, this so I didn't understand what defensively Denver was doing. Again, this has been a very fascinating series with the matchups. How they're guarding Joker. I saw you call us a couple situations in game one where you would see Harden on Joker in the mid post. And Harden is a great post defender, by the way. He's strong as ox, he's hard to move. So you wonder if you see more of that. Didn't see too much of that in game two. Um, but if you're Denver, Joker has really, I think Clippers, Joker had a bad game too in game two. That was a bad game for him. I don't care about the triple doubles. And again, I don't need to hear every update on Joker getting a triple double. Like he's an assist away from a triple double, a rebound away from a triple double. Like folks, over the last 6 or 7 years, we've seen Westbrook average triple double 3 times. Joker's it's the novelty of it is off. Like that novelty up until 2017, I understand because we had really never seen it in the modern era. Oscar Robertson, of course, was in the '60s, but I don't care about the triple doubles anymore. I just don't buy any player. It's not an anti Joker thing. I just don't care about the triple doubles like that. But anyway, I mean, Joker, Joker goes is Joker in this game was 26, 11, and 10, but had seven turnovers and missed four free throws. That's a bad game for Joker. That's a bad game. Zubac continues to, I think, play him as well as you can possibly play him. Zubac against Joker, Joker against Zubac is shooting is 10 for 21. That's about 47%. Joker on the season shoots 57% from the field. So you cannot play Zubac. You can't play Joker any better than what Zubac is playing, along with the production that he's been giving Clippers. I don't think so at times they probably haven't gone to him enough. To be perfectly honest with you, um, moving forward, because this is going to be a long series. I'll be shocked if it doesn't go seven. To be perfectly honest with you, but moving forward, I don't think that Bogdanovich can play in this series. He's been awful. He's not a defensive player, so if he's not making shots, then he basically serves no purpose. A if you are Lou, like he is absolutely killing. I mean, Ben Simmons, we know he's not going to score, but Ben Simmons can at least give you some decent minutes where with being the Joker defender when Zubac is off the floor. So that's what purpose he serves. But again, if Bogdanovich is not making shots, then he's going to be targeted on offense. Every possession, which the Clippers, which which certain which Denver has done. So I don't think I frankly don't think he can play in this series. I don't think he can play in the series. I would give those minutes somewhere else. I would give those maybe add some more minutes. Maybe give those minutes some more to Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn, despite the fact that he offensively is challenged, Chris Dunn defensively has been all over the place in this series. Um, it hasn't been a disaster offensively, but defensively he has been. If you watched this series closely, Dunn is deflecting everything. He is all over the place in this particular series. Um, Denver wastes a a great Michael Porter Jr. game, 15 points and 15 rebounds. So you waste that particular game. If you're Denver, you still haven't gotten a vintage Joker game, right? You still haven't got a vintage Joker game. So it's 1-1, and Joker hasn't like got that signature, that 40, 15, and 10 game, which he's capable of, but that 38, 18, and 12 game. And he's certainly, again, that game, Clippers are a great defensive team. They have the best individual defender against Joker in the last decade. So that game might not come, but more chances than not, that game is going to come. So that game is going to come. So that's the good news. If you're a Clipper fan, excuse me, if you're a Nugget fan, you have to be concerned about. If you're a Nuggets, you have to be concerned again about how much you have to use Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook in this series playing about 29 minutes a game. Now he's averaging 14 points and 6 rebounds. Has made some big plays at different times. Over the course of the series, also has done some bonehead stuff at times in which he did game one. You survived game one, but the more you have to depend to me on Russell Westbrook, you're going to need something out of Christian Brown. Christian Brown, he's giving you nothing right now. 8 points, 41%. Um, I don't think Peyton Watson will be a factor in this series. I don't think the bench overall is not going to be much of a factor outside of Russell Westbrook. So you're depending on a lot. You're putting a lot of your stock in Russell Wayne. You're putting a lot of your stock into Russell Westbrook, and that is a dangerous proposition to be honest with you. Like to be, I mean, I think, and again, they've had to play him in this series. They've had to play him in this series, and again, he is right now the NBA's ultimate feast or a famine player right now with some of his decision makings. But at times, he's made some big threes. He's made some big threes. He is shooting. Um, on the 3-point line. He's shooting 57%. He is right now 5 of 9 from the corner on the 3 point line. So he's 5 of 9, over 50%. So he's making his corner threes. He's been making some corner threes. But again, how long? And I know on the season, I think he shot like 40% from the corner. How long that will last, we'll see. But the thing about the Clippers, and the biggest question moving forward about the Clippers is Kawhi Leonard. If Kawhi has gotten off to quick starts before in playoff series, and his health has his body has broken down. He was great those first 2 games against Phoenix a couple of years ago, and he couldn't finish. He ended up couldn't finish the series. So last year, of course, he probably shouldn't have been playing last year. When they played Dallas, he looked a shell of himself. So if Kawhi Leonard can finish this series, I think the Clippers win this series. If Kawhi Leonard finishes this series and he doesn't have to have a game like he did in game 2 every game, but if he's consistently between 25 to 30 points with the efficiency, with the all around defense, I don't see how the Clippers don't win this series unless Joker completely just goes nuclear. To be honest with you, like I just don't see how they lose this series. And I think the Clippers are obviously have a superior coach. All due respect to David Adelman, but Ty Lue is a great, great coach. You have Jeff Van Gundy on the sidelines as well as a defensive guru, a defensive coordinator. We know how good he was various times as a Knicks coach. Had some success with the Houston Rockets as well. And Kawhi Leonard, again, you have a guy that on a given night could be the best player on the floor. Like Kawhi Leonard, even in a game, even in a series with Nikola Jokic, Kawhi Leonard can be the best player on a given night, can be the best player on the floor. He can be the best player in the world on a given night when he plays like he did in game 2. Like point blank, there's no ifs, ands, or buts to it. You look at his career, again, he's missed a ton of time over the past, especially in the playoffs. He's without question, obviously top 75 would be a Hall of Famer. Um, but you look at his playoff performance. I don't think people really understand how dominant he's been when he's been on the floor in the playoffs. I saw a stat. Last 29, Kawhi Leonard's last 66 playoff games. That is not a short sampling. That's a lot. 66 playoff games is a lot of playoff games. He's 29 points, 8 rebounds, four and a half assists, 57% from the field, 38% from the three, 89 on free throws, um, and shooting 64% true shooting percentage. He's the only guy, along with Shaq and Kareem, that has at least 4 games of 30 or more points at shooting at 75%. He's a guard. Those guys were, of course, were centers, all world centers, and two of the top 10 players of all time. He's a guard. So 4 playoff games of 30 points on 75% shooting. 30, and he has like this ridiculous number where I didn't even know this number. He had over 20 games of 20 points in a half. I think that number is like 26 games of 20 points in a half in the playoff games. So this guy has been a dominant playoff player. And again, the only thing that's kept us from talking about Kawhi the way we talk about LeBron or Kevin Durant or Steph Curry in this era are injuries. He has been just as good of these guys. He has been just as productive of any of these guys when he's been on the court. The problem has been he has not been on the court and he's missed too many games. So I don't want to hear about the Kawhi versus Kevin Durant. I mean, I know. Listen, Kevin Durant has not been good for Kevin Durant the last 5 years. He's not ending his career well with what's transpired in Brooklyn and now in Phoenix has been absolute shit shows. I understand that, but Kevin Durant has been relatively healthy and on the floor and has been um, when he has been in some of the more meaningful games. We've seen Kevin Durant be dominant in the playoffs as well. Again, it has not been a good last 5 years. I totally understand that, but you're not taking Kawhi Leonard over Kevin Durant. You're not taking Kawhi Leonard's career over Kevin Durant. It's just ridiculous. It's just on the sheer fact of your ability, just on durability alone, you're not making that comparison. Period. He's just not. But again, um, if Kawhi is healthy, not only throughout the series but throughout the playoffs, the Clippers are a absolute legitimate threat to get to the finals. They can beat Oklahoma City. I don't think they would. They definitely have a puncher's chance when you have that guy playing the way he's playing right now. Again, that we'll see how if it can last long. Um, I gotta see him get through a whole playoff series healthy before I believe it. I didn't believe it was going. Listen, I didn't believe he was going to get back to this level. To be honest with you, and to be frank, to be honest with you, you have to actually give him a lot of credit. He's bounced back from numerous injuries with the knee situation. Um, you know, we the injury in San Antonio is well documented. So he has gone through a lot of injuries, but to his credit, he keeps coming back, keeps bouncing back. It does probably does not get enough credit for that. The other big time matchup and fascinating series to me, obviously, is a game tonight. Golden State and Houston. Golden State won game one. Um, was in total control in game one, but up by as much as 23 points. But on a night where Jalen Green and Van Vliet shot 7 for 34, shot 7 for 34. But the bottom line is Golden State gets out rebounded 52-36 and outscored in the paint 54-34. I think there's still going to be a long series. Of course, like Houston tonight to even the series. Um, Now, Golden State is better because they have more experience. They have, without question, the two best players in this series is Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. You have I'm not sure how big the coaching uh, gap is. I know Kerr has all the accolades and championships. I I don't think is as big as everybody's making it out to be. I really was impressed with how Houston came back in this game after playing just a miserable first half. They, you know, got their, they through sheer determination, through sheer physicality and great defense, got themselves back in the game. And the bottom line is the lineups that they had the most success with featured multiple bigs, whether it be Steven Adams, Jabari Smith, Sagan, or Sagan. So it'd be interesting to see how they play it tonight in regards to those lineups with their lineups. Listen, they're gonna at a certain point for them to win the series, they're gonna have to get something from Jalen Green. They're gonna have to get something. He has been when I mean he's been awful in this series. He's been awful in this series. Obviously he's a young player. He We know how talented he is. He's a leading scorer, but even with that said, he's just right now he's just not seemingly ready for this level of play. This level of play playing against a championship caliber a championship caliber team like Golden State once was, and all the experience that they bring to the table. But they're gonna have to get something out of him um, to win this series. Again, I picked Golden State to win 7 games. Um, I think Houston can win this series. I don't think they will, but I think this goes to a 7th game. Um, I think Houston has some things that they can do as far as physical. If I'm Houston, I want to make this series as ugly as possible. I want to turn it into a rock fight. I want this thing to just physically. I just want to try to physically ball the Golden State Warriors. I think you obviously should see more Steven Adams. He's only been playing 19 minutes a game. That should go up. And again, I think I think you will probably see possibly see less Jalen Green. Jalen Green's playing 30 minutes a game. That might get. I think that number might. Some of those minutes might start getting cut. The problem with Houston is, and this was their problem coming into the series, we knew it was all season, is shot creation. Right now, Sagan has been by far their best player at 26 points, 9 rebounds. but their next highest score is Dylan Brooks and Jabari Smith at 11 points. So where the big question, Houston in this series, they've only played one game, but so in game one only scored 85 points. Their defense is fine. I mean, Golden State only cracked 95 points themselves. Golden State only cracked 95 points. I thought they're good. I thought the Houston defense, and I understand Curry's going to make some big shots. He did make some big shots in game one. And he's been great. He's been great, of course, the last part of the season, especially since he has some big games since they got Jimmy Butler. But Houston, Golden State has some question marks offensively. Once you get past Curry, can Curry and Butler stay at this level and play extreme heavy minutes? Curry played 40 minutes in game one, 40 minutes in game one. Butler played 42 minutes in game one. So Draymond had played 37 minutes. We'll see. Because this is going to be it's going to be a rock fight. It's absolutely going to be a rock fight. That type of series is not going to be too much flow to the series. These two teams know each other well. They've played now 6 times this year. They played the one extra game in the NBA the in season, the NBA Cup in season. So they know each other. They know each other very well. As far as the other series go, I'll just go through them real quick. Thinking about Memphis and OKC, that is a absolute walkover for OKC. We'll learn about more about OKC when they play the winner of the Denver and LA Clipper series. Milwaukee and Indiana. Indiana, of course, is up 2-0. Milwaukee really didn't have a chance last night. They made a fake comeback. I know they got it down to within a couple points. But you never thought Milwaukee was going to win that game. Listen, I'm always starting if Indiana does not play as well as a great home team. I expect Milwaukee to win game 3. Game 4 will tell you all you need to know about this series. If you look at the Milwaukee roster, the one thing Indiana is a much deeper team than Milwaukee. They're going to concede Giannis getting his points. Hey, Giannis, you get your 35 and 12, whatever, and no one else can beat us. That's the bottom line about this series. Clearly, Indiana has more talent from top to bottom. I thought Giannis could, unless Giannis goes nuclear, the likelihood of them winning the series is probably not going to happen. You look at the roster. You look at this Bucks roster. I mean, you talk about Torian Prince, Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr. Right now in this series, after Giannis, their leading scorer in this series is Bobby Portis at 16 points a game. So, if Bobby Portis is your second best player, in essence, you got problems. Now, Dame Lillard was rusty as expected. I again, I even if Dame gives you 25 on offense, defensively, he's going to give up like 30 right now. Like the Pacers have been going by the Milwaukee Bucks guards like they're standing still. They get any shot they want. When I mean any shot they want, they are living in the paint with the dribble penetration. Like they are absolutely living in the paint. And I don't see what the Bucks can do about it. Like as far as athleticism and foot speed. Right now, I mean, Indiana's averaging 120 points a game in this series. And on top of the fact that they're also out rebounded Milwaukee in this series. We can start the conversation now. We can get to go ahead to jump on it now in regards to if I'm Giannis, I'm like, what can I do with this moving forward? Like this roster is clearly not good enough. But the Pacers have 6 guys in double figures. They have 6 players averaging double between 24 points and 11 points a game. Tyrese Halliburton has not been good in this series. He's shooting 34% from the field. Their best player is shooting 34% from the field, and they're winning, and they're up 2-0. So that just shows you. Now he has a great plus minus, but he is averaging 12 assists a game. So I shouldn't and 6 rebounds. So I shouldn't ignore that. But he hasn't been able to throw in the ocean for the most part, and they're still dominating this series. And when you look at Milwaukee, Bobby Portis is their second leading scorer at 16 points. Kevin Porter Jr. 10 points a game. Gary Trent Jr. 9 points a game. Brook Lopez 8 points. I mean, Kyle Kuzma has been awful. Didn't score, didn't have a he did not in game one. Kuzma didn't have a point, a rebound, an assist, a steal, nothing. He did nothing, like nothing. A block, nothing. He would zero. He would the quintuplet zero 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 in game one. So and Pat Connaughton is not even playing. He's not even in the rotation at this point. Didn't even play. Did not play a game. I believe didn't play a game. In game one or in game didn't play in game two. Game one he probably got a couple minutes because it was garbage time. But this roster is just not this Milwaukee roster. This is the worst roster they've had in this 5 or 6 year stretch where they've been um, championship caliber contenders. And again, they're wasting Giannis. Giannis is averaging in this series 35, 15, and 4 on 65% shooting. Now, only 56% from the line, which has been his Achilles heel throughout the course of the season with the over the course of the last 4 or 5 seasons. But they're not getting anything out of like this. Again, they need a Dame Lillard. They need a vintage Dame Lillard 30 to 35 point performance. And I don't know right now if Dame Lillard has the conditioning or is healthy enough to uh, to have that type of performance. He played 37 minutes in game two, was 4 for 13, 14 points, 2 fade for the three, did have 7 assists. He was mid at best. I mean, he was at best he was mid. So that game four will tell you all you need to know about that series. I expect Milwaukee to win game three. I would lean right now towards probably Indiana in 5. To be honest with you, again, but Cleveland, Milwaukee. You know Cleveland. We already talked about that in regards to Miami. This is the worst. Cleveland, Miami. This is the worst version of Miami, similar to Milwaukee. This is the worst version of Miami that we've seen over the past 5 years. To be honest with you, I expect Cleveland to make short work, similar to Oklahoma versus Memphis. Boston, Orlando. Of course, they're playing right now. There's no uh, yeah, of course, no Jason Tatum with the wrist injury. Again, that's going to be a short series as well. Like you're going like the teams at the top. The top is the top. Like know, Boston, OKC, Boston, Cleveland, all won 60 games for a reason. Those series are going to be short series. Probably 2 of them probably will be sweeps, and it's all about we'll see what they do come to conference semifinals. Come to conference semifinals. But again, there are 3 series that really have the potential to go 7 games. Knicks, Detroit. Again, 1-1 in that series. You give Detroit a lot of credit for tying up the series. And that game had to be frustrating for a Knicks fan because frankly, I think Brunson is working too hard. You look at Brunson's averaging 35 points in this series, but he's not. He's shooting under 40%, and he has 54 field goal attempts. The next closest Nick, Towns has 28. That's too big of a discrepancy between those 2 players. Towns played at an All NBA level. Towns in this series is shooting 60%. He's just not getting enough shots. Now you can blame that on scheming. You can also blame it on Towns' lack of aggression. Either way, Towns has to be a bigger factor for the Knicks to win this series. To be honest with you, the matchup you're looking at, Anunoby versus Cade. Uh, I think Cade has been excellent in the series. 6 for 18 against Cade against Anunoby. So that is, of course, the matchup that you want to see if you're the Knicks. Brunson's working too hard. He's just working way too hard for a guy that again is only 6'1", only 6'1", a guy uh, again taking a lot of shots, expending a lot of energy. That is something he's coming off an injury. Um, Coming off an injury like late in the season, something to miss time late in the season, something to monitor in this series as this series gets more physical. Detroit has no fear of New York. Now they had the meltdown in Game One, the fourth quarter. Otherwise, they were up after three quarter, going into the fourth quarter of that Game One. Of course, had the meltdown in which they were basically I think outscored 40-22 and had a 21-0 run as the Knicks ran away with that Game One. But outside that fourth quarter, I can make a case that Detroit has outplayed the Knicks in this series. So I think it really depends on getting Karl Anthony Towns into this series. The Detroit has no answer for Towns. Like when he's decided to post up, he's been able to score. They don't have an answer. They don't have a matchup for Towns. This should be a Karl Towns series, but we've seen Karl Towns struggle in the playoffs. I know he was decent last year as Minnesota went to conference finals, but we've seen him struggle in the playoffs in the past. So I think I still would pick the Knicks in six. I think Detroit will get at least one of these next two games at home. But I still think the Knicks will be able to take this series and win it in six games. So then you go, of course, with the playoffs. If you look at the themes, to me, the one theme from these playoffs, as we are now, what in night five or so, yeah, I don't count the playing night five of the playoffs. The depth, the depth of these top teams and the quality of the role players has been big. OKC, Boston, Cleveland are so much deeper than all these other teams. And then, you in the playoffs, and this has become a more of a recurring theme, more so now in the last 5 years, you have to have role players that produce at a high level. Um, in the first weekend, and I stopped counting after Sunday, by the way. So this number it might even probably has gone up since then. But at least up through game one, at least seven role players that cracked 20 or more points. And you had Miles Turner and Pritchard in their game ones have 19 points. So, and you saw in the game ones, Giannis loses, Luka and LeBron, they lose. So you have to have quality depth in the playoffs. There's no two ways about it. You have to have, I mean, I'm not saying it's not about going 9, 10, 11 deep in terms of your rotation. It's about if you go 7 to 8 deep, I think you have to go at least 8 deep in your rotation. It has to be quality. It can't just be, put guys in just for minutes. You have to have guys that are producing to take the pressure off your superstar players. Again, a night where both Tatum and Brown struggle in game one, you have Derek White, and Pritchard combining for 49 points. So those teams, like even Minnesota, like Minnesota's a 6 seed. Anthony Edwards was not spectacular. He was good in game one. He wasn't dominant in game one, but you got 46 points or 48 points between Nas Reed and Jay McDaniels. So to me, it is all about the depth and quality of depth of these teams in the playoffs, and you have to have it. That's the thing I'll be nervous about if I'm a Golden State fan. Once I get past Steph and Jimmy Butler, what is it looking like? Like, what is it really looking like once I get past those two particular players? That's the Kuminga thing. I'm not going to beat down. Like the Kuminga thing is just so mind-boggling to me. How that guy, I mean, he can't give you 15 minutes. He can't give you 10 to 15 quality minutes if you're Steve Kerr. But anyway, um, let's move on to let's go around the league a little bit. Um, so players came out with a survey, and this is why you can't have players voting on things like the MVP and what have you. Players are just you never like there were some ratings where they have overrated the most overrated players, and Giannis was getting 2% of the vote. Like anybody that thinks Giannis is overrated, I mean, you have to be out of your mind. Um, Doc Rivers was voted like the third worst coach in the league. Um, somebody like Kate Cunningham was considered the most underrated player in the league. It's like, yeah, actually, he's not anymore. Like he was an All Star this year. He's going to be All NBA. So we can complain about the media and their biases and things of that nature, but on voting on these awards, the media by far is your best bet as far as being objective and as far as watching all the games and consistency of things of that nature. You would never want players voting on awards. It would be like you talk about biases and you talk about jealousy. It would be a disaster if players ever voted on any major awards. Like players have no business, like zero business ever voting on any major awards. So that was interesting with some of those for the NBA survey that came out. And as far as ratings go, listen, this weekend, so ratings in the opening weekend were up 17%, the highest opening weekend in the NBA in 25 years. That's going back to the Kobe Bryant, the Kobe Shaq era, Allen Iverson, Vince Carter, some of those exciting players you had. You had the Sacramento, the Kings were beginning their great fast break style of basketball, their open court with the passing, what have you. So that was a good, you had McGrady, you had a number of big names in that 2000 in the early 2000s and 2000 in general. So that's a big deal, and that's absolutely a big deal for the NBA. The NBA this year took a beating in regards to low ratings, people blaming the 3-point shot, blaming low management, whatever you want to blame. I, yeah, all I ask for the media and anybody else is to keep the same energy when the ratings are great. And I saw a couple things about it, but I didn't see it discussed that much, to be honest with you. But so if you're in the NBA, if I'm Adam Silver, we're putting this out. Like we are absolutely promoting this. So like, hey, look at this. Look. So most watched opening weekend in 25 years. Again, 25 years, at 17%. So I don't think the game is in a pretty good place. Some things that could be tweaked, that could be fixed, but I think the game is in a much better place than people want to give it credit for. And by the way, the amount of games will never. We're not going to a 75 game season, 70 game season, or 65 game season. The players are never ever going to take less money for the sake of having less games in the season. It's not going to happen ever. So get 82. It'll be 82 forever. As long as there's an NBA, you're going to have 82 games. Best of the 21st century. I just finished rewatching just one of the great limited television series of recent memory. I think in conversation, the best limited series of the 2000s that was Lovecraft Country. Of course, starred Jonathan Majors, Journey Smollett, Michael K. Williams. Um, sometimes you cook something and the leftovers are better than when it come out better than when it tastes better than the original. When you first taste the food, and this is how I felt about Lovecraft Country. Watching this I hadn't rewatched it. This is the first time I actually ever rewatched it. To be honest with you, 5 years later, it came out in 2020 during the pandemic. During the pandemic, to be able to mix horror um, with the supernatural, with religion, with race, and to do it in the way that they did it, I've never seen it done in the history of television at the way they did. In terms of a series, I've never seen it done like that in a series. You're talking about 10 episodes. Um, they take you through some events, some of the more historic events in the history of this country. during Jim Crow, and you go through the Emmett Till murder. They took you to Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921. It was a history lesson as well, and and it was so layered. There was themes of religion, the idea of family, the idea of they dealt with sexuality and how taboo sexuality was, especially amongst black men during that particular time. Of course, the late great Michael Caine's character Montross was gay was gay on the played a gay role on the series, and how that affected his relationship with his son, who of course was brilliantly played by Jonathan Majors. Again, this was a series that like I said, you have. This is a must watch. It's an absolute must watch. Misha Green was a showrunner. The writing was off the charts. Writing. You have to watch it more. You have to watch the episodes more than once. There were so many things that were happening. So many things that were happening. So many themes. So many. So much subtext that was going on with this particular show. And I have not seen a better limited series in in the last, forget about this decade, but in the last 25 years, to be honest, which I have not seen a better limited series in my opinion. Now it only lasts one season. There's a lot, now HBO and a lot of media outlets try to put out that because most of the material that was covered in the book was covered on this season. I've read some stuff that, it was just that it probably touched people the wrong, it probably was too real and too authentic for people, and that it was only going to be one season because of that. With some of the stuff that you read, and that they couldn't. I mean, you think about of course, and spoiler alert here. So Jonathan Majors, his character Atticus dies, but there was a lot of stuff that they could have moved on with Letitia and how his son grows up, the young girl D, and now she seemingly takes over the next generation of magic, being able to do magic and things of that nature. And you still had a lot of characters that were still living. Montross as a grandfather, like there was still some. Now somebody else would have to play Montross, of course, with Michael K. Williams tragically passing away in 2021. Yeah, I mean, you could have got like there are a tremendous amount of talented black actors that are out there, so you could have got somebody to fill that role. I'm saying that there should have been another season of this series. Like one season wasn't enough, and maybe that's me being greedy. Maybe one season just will probably add to the legend of it that we only saw it for one season. But I'm telling you, this absolutely, if you love horror, if you love history, if you are into that type of stuff, if you're into what transpired with blacks in that particular era, this is a absolute. When I mean must watch, is a absolute must watch series from episode 1 through episode 10, and everything in the series connects. Like that there was stuff that was that there were little things from episode 1 that would connect later in like episode 4 or 5. So they were on that type of time with this particular series. Brilliantly written. Uh, Again, the acting, top notch acting, and again, I thought, to me, in my opinion, the best limited series of the 21st century. I'm gonna wrap up the program on somewhat of a down note. I had to discuss this. It was transpiring with one Shannon Sharpe. Of course, Shannon Sharpe, of course, Hall of Fame, ex Bronco, ex Raven, Hall of Fame, Hall of Famer, current podcaster, and of course does work for ESPN. Was being sued for $50 million for alleged rape. The Tony Busby is the the alleged victim's attorney. We know Busby from a number of high-profile cases recently had suits against Jay-Z and Puffy and Diddy. Of course, the one Jay-Z was dropped as Jay-Z absolutely eviscerated Busby and actually just destroyed Busby in terms of that case. So here's the thing. Again, none of us knows what transpired in this with all the details of this case. We know that Shannon Sharpe had a relationship with this young lady, and I put the emphasis on young. When she was 19, now 20 years old, we know they had sex. We understand. We know that, and we know that this is not the first time that Sharpe has been accused of something similar to this. 2004, he's accused of misdemeanor battery of one of his children's mothers. He physically removed her from his house. Okay, 2010, he got accused of sexual assault of a woman named Michelle Bundy, who uh, had a restraining order against him, and he chose to step down from CBS. One of those, you can choose to step down or we'll just fire you. Probably was one of those deals. So despite that, so there has been a pattern. Like we can't say that this guy has a pristine reputation and doesn't have some dirt on in terms of his some baggage in terms of his past dealings with women from that standpoint. But in spite of that, nothing came out of those cases. Of course, he stepped down from CBS. No charges were ever. He never did. He never went to jail. Did any no nothing came out of the misdemeanor battery against his ex baby mama. But we fast forward now to 2025. You have a 56-year-old man, 57-year-old man moving like he has not been a public figure for 35 years. Shannon Sharpe was drafted by the Denver Broncos in 1990. Okay, he had a long career. He played up until played 14 years up until 2004. Has had a media career ever since that. He's been in the spotlight for 35 years. Shannon Sharpe has an older brother who also is a Hall of Famer named Sterling Sharpe. So very few athletes have the luxury of having somebody play professional sports as well, and especially the same sport. So for him to be moving the way he's moving right now is really sad and frankly inexcusable. I don't know what happened in this case. Uh, I don't know if he raped the girl. I don't know if he did rape her. We don't know. That stuff will eventually will come out. What I do know is in the last 8 months, I got Shannon Sharpe. I got recordings of Shannon Sharpe. You have two taped recordings of Shannon Sharpe having sex. One with this young lady who says he taped them having sex without her consent, allegedly. The other came, of course, in September when the leaked video on Instagram, which I still believe he leaked intentionally, to be perfectly honest with you. Again, Shannon Sharpe, I'll repeat this, is 57 years old. Shannon Sharpe came on his podcast and said, "This is a shakedown. This is not who I am. I'm innocent," so on and so on and so on. He also said he also has had his attorneys put out the information that they offered a settlement to the young lady of $10 million. You know how I feel about settlements. It doesn't make you look good if you're being accused of something. If I'm being accused of rape or any sexual assault and I'm completely innocent, I don't care. I will use every resource, I will use every dime that I have to clear my name. I'm not settling anything if I'm completely innocent. Not selling. I'm not selling. Not there'll be zero chance. Zero chance. Okay. So it's really like you have somebody who really has been in the public eye for as long as he's been in it, knows other athletes, has an older brother who played in the NFL. So why are you moving like this? Like why? Like why? I don't understand it. With so much to lose, Shannon Sharpe was in position to sign $100 million podcasting deal. He was up. His contract with the Volume, who's owned and run by uh, Colin Cowherd, of course, of FS1, was up. So he was a free podcasting free agent. He has one of the biggest, most successful sporting podcasts in the business, in the space right now, easily, winning awards left and right. Um, why? Why? Like for what? For some ass? Like what? What are we talking? Like what are we doing here? And the reason why I'm knocking Sharp without him being convicted and all that stuff, it does matter whether he's guilty or not. I'm not gonna say it doesn't because it does. Because if he is guilty, then that means a young lady was raped, and we of course don't condone that. I don't care how many times they had consensual sex. If she says no, then that was. If she says no on the 100th time, then that's it. It's just there's no excuse for that. But we understand that. But what I don't understand is you understand the game. You understand how it is out here for athletes getting trapped and being taken advantage of and being used. And you go on your podcast every single night, or have gone on his podcast. Oh no, yes, has gone on Nightcap and knocked young players, young athletes for moving like this and risking, the bag and risking their brands and risking everything doing making stupid moves. You do this all the time to young athletes, young African American athletes in particular. Not to say he targets black athletes, but he's done this. But the majority of the athletes that he's mentioned have been black athletes. That's to be honest. So you at 57, with all your wealth of experience in this space of being a professional athlete, this is how you're moving in 2025. And again, Shannon Sharpe prides himself on being this. Hey man, I'm just out here working hard, minding my business. I'm real private. But you're so dude. How private are you? He again. We heard your sex tape. We heard you having sex on over on social media. He hey he leaks the text of he and this young lady of her, I guess, in a sense, trying to win a court of public opinion of some of the stuff that she was asking him to do to her sexually. He leaked that information, and so as far as those text messages recently, this past week, that's intentional by him and his attorney. Again, I don't know what the game plan is with him and his attorney out like trying to win a court of public opinion. I guess I don't think it's a smart move, and I wouldn't advise. I would just advise him and advise if I was an attorney, basically advise him just stay quiet at this point. Say, I'm innocent, and then basically use the generic "I'm innocent." The truth will come out, and keep it moving, and keep it moving. You know who Tony Busby is. Like what type of there, and Tony Busby is not the only attorney that's like the quote unquote ambulance chaser, right? So you know all these pitfalls. You know how easy it is for anyone, especially a black man in your position, to fall and fall hard. Look at Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors is just getting back to making movies, and he I hate to say this, but Jonathan Majors probably will never get back on the trajectory that he was on before all that shit went down. That was his fault, by the way, for putting himself in that position. So Shannon Sharpe has nobody to blame but himself. Don't blame Tony Busby. Don't blame the young lady. Don't blame haters in the media that want to see him fall, that want to see him go down. No, 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 no. Has nobody. The one person to blame right here for this situation, even for us even discussing this situation, is Shannon Sharpe. And I don't care about all these other podcasts, all these other dudes, celebrities that want to kiss his ass and want to knock women and say, "Oh, you set us up. All these girls is in it for the money." Blah blah blah. We've been hearing the same shit for so on and so on. And I'm not saying that there are not women out there who are chasing men and celebrities for status and for money. Uh, that's not. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just not new. Like that's not if you're an athlete, you're not aware of that. Then you're not doing your due diligence and doing your homework. You have to at a certain point, if you're a celebrity, somebody in that position of wealth and money and power, you gotta check how you are moving and you have to check what you are attracting. If you're attracting people, women of certain who don't have the greatest character, I'm sorry, that's a reflection of you. You are what you attract. I fully believe that. You are what you attract. So I'm not even blame this young lady. She could be a shakedown artist. She could be out in it for his money, possibly, allegedly, or she could have gotten raped. I don't know. What I do know is Shannon Sharpe is way too motherfucking old to be moving like this. Period. Period. So we'll see how this plays out. I don't expect that he'll ever do another episode of First Take on ESPN. I think that's a wrap. We'll see what happens with his podcast and with this $100 million deal. That's probably not going to happen. Again, this just from the stuff that I've seen, it doesn't look too good for him. When you like, he's moving desperately right now with leaking text messages. And the $10 million settlement offer that just doesn't look good. It just doesn't. Um, that's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Ril Dil podcast. I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your week. So long.